Hey everybody, I wanted to do a little video of a patient that I've been seeing for about 2 months now. She had been diagnosed in the past with a left vestibular hypofunction, meaning a weakness in one inner ear nerve compared to the other. She had done physical therapy and got rid of a lot of her symptoms, but wasn't sure if it was the vestibular therapy or just timing. But anyways, fast forward, it was another year later, and this past January, she had suffered some kind of illness, or she wasn't sure if it was a shingles vaccine. We're not really sure what happened, but her symptoms came back with a vengeance. She was having this like internal tumultuousness where she just felt a sway when she was walking, just back, forth, felt steady. Whenever she come to parking lots and trying to go to the grocery store, the space of being in an open parking lot without something close by, she would literally freeze. She couldn't take any steps. She had trouble going from the parking deck at work to walking into work. She felt like she had to use a cane. Keep in mind, she was only mid-50s, and all of a sudden she was at such a freezing point that she felt like she had to use an assist device or go shopping with her husband. She just didn't have a good quality of life and couldn't make sense of what was happening. That unsteady, imbalanced feeling would cause vertigo for her. And she would start to get dizzy, worsening in the head. And she started to have a really poor quality of life, went to a chiropractor for, I believe, 3 or 4 months, going to her neurologist, not really getting any answers. Maybe we are suffering from vestibular migraines, maybe nothing. Let's do some blood work. Not really sure. So the chiropractor knew that I treated dizziness, so gave me a call and asked me to go see the patient. And basically, when we did the evaluation and looked at her hypofunction, that weakness of the inner ear, I said, "Are you still doing any of your exercises?" She said, "No, I'm not," because it was just a completely different kind of feeling. And it feels like it's more internal. And, upon further discussion, when we figured out that she was feeling frozen, definitely visually triggered, I said, "Have you heard of 3PD?" And she slightly heard of it, but wasn't quite familiar. So we went through persistent postural perceptual dizziness, what it is, how it's treated, how you can have ebbs and flows, and that it really was the brain's inability to distinguish the vestibular or somatosensory input versus that visual disorientation. So we started my treatment approach of gaze stability exercises for the hypofunction. For whatever reason, I was sure that we had some decompensation. So we started with seated and then standing and then foam pad and eventually walking exercises, in combination with heavy grounding exercises, a lot of connecting to the core, and then habituation and exposure therapy. So specifically with this client, she could not walk in the middle of a road to take a walk with her, by herself, or in the middle of a parking lot. She had to, what we investigated, we went to the edge or close to the curb of the road, and she felt much more secure. Her body kind of tremulousness stopped or reduced. And when we started walking and feel connected to her feet and her core again, we took a step away from the curb. And then we walked that path until we felt connected and safe in her body again, a little away from the curb. And then we took another step away from the curb, closer to the middle of that road, and we completed that over and over again until she felt safe. We started with me holding a hand and the cane, and then worked away to not using the cane and closer to the middle of the road until we felt safe and in control. So using that, we discovered, that the brain was giving wrong information, and we needed to learn how to work our touch systems and say, brain, you're not giving me good information, so I'm going to try to ignore you and work on what I can rely, my touch system. So we use that principle with walking in the house, with walking in the stores, starting with a shopping cart and her husband. And then the husband walked away, but we used the shopping cart. And then we did a transition to walking without the shopping cart, but with her husband. And then finally, walking alone. Now that whole exposure therapy, kind of learning how to trust her body again, I'm so thrilled because yesterday I came in for what turned out to be our last session for now. And she said, Amy, I'm going to the stores. I'm driving myself. I am not using the cane almost anywhere. I feel a little bit of that kind of back and forth in my body, but I feel like I can calm and ignore it. And that in combination, she was an advocate for herself. We talked to her neurologist, who doesn't happen to believe in 3PD, but we talked to the neurologist, and in the past, she had done really well with Cymbalta. So we said, can we try Cymbalta again to the nurse practitioner? And they did actually try the Cymbalta, which she was only on for 4 days. So we did all that vestibular therapy, and she was doing well. And then we added Cymbalta for the past 4 days, and she actually did even better than she was doing. So with that therapy plus the Cymbalta, I am so overjoyed that in 2 months for her, doing my program, doing medication, and doing that exposure therapy, feeling grounded and getting an answer as to what her symptoms were from, she's doing so well, going to work, not needing a cane, not feeling like she needs to go on disability. And I just wanted to share that story with you because it happens over and over again, and it does work. There's not a magic bullet for everybody. Everybody's path is different. Different treatment approaches work better for some. I just wanted to share that story with you because I'm so thrilled for this client, and I can't wait to hear how she's doing in the next month.